How's it going, guys? As I said in my last video, I would be making the awakening part for you guys so you guys on Xbox can get in there and be playing Ranger as most effectively as possible, especially now, since right now she's kind of in a meh state. However, if you maximize how you build her, the overall damage she does, and just maximize her potential, you can really do quite well with Ranger. I have seen Rangers running around in RBF getting 500 plus points on their head and just basically being unkillable. And having you guys be able to do that is my entire goal here. So enjoy the video, guys. Alright, so to start this off, we're going to talk about Ranger's 3 mobility skills with swords. Wind Step is Ranger's main mobility movement in Awakening. Wind Step is the dash. Now, something to note about this dash is when it's off cooldown, it is an iframe. So you can see the cooldown there is 3 seconds. So after every 3 seconds, if you dash, you have an iframe. It's pretty good for dodging something if you need to, but at the same time, if you're spamming it running around, it also might save you on occasion if you are lucky. Now, something to note as well, you will collide with players if you go forward. However, if you go backwards, you're going to go through them, which is really, really good to know when you're trying to get away. So usually in a fight, you're going to be wanting to go backwards rather than going forward, unless you're trying to really catch someone, then sure, of course, go forward. But I mean, if you're trying to just stay alive, I would just keep walking backwards, blocking, and then dash on occasion just to keep your distance, because that's going to be your main survivability for the most part, is that right there. Now, next we have Breezy Blade. Breezy Blade is going to be a super armor, and it's going to be a super armor also when off cooldown. So you can already see Ranger's going to be kind of rotating between her skills to stay protected. But not nearly as much as it used to be, because now you can walk backward and block. But Breezy Blade, I recommend hotkeying it. It's going to be the skill here. And the entire duration there is going to be a super armor. So basically, the way I'm standing now, with my sword on my back like this, is how long you're going to have your super armor for. So basically, you're going to start here, and then for that entire duration, boom, now super armor is gone. So that's really, really nice to know. You can also use this while dashing. That's going to be the main way most people use it, is with dashing. However, if you hotkey it, there's a lot more outplay potential, because you're basically going to be able to say dash backwards right into a Breezy Blade to the left and then strike going right or something like that, that sort of thing. It's just a shorter animation, and also you just don't have to dash. You don't have to create distance first, which is really, really nice. Then you have Flow Rushing Wind. Now this is going to be the same way. As soon as you land like this with your swords on your back is when the super armor is gone. So basically the way you're going to use this one, it's going to be a Breezy Blade into a right click. You can see that that covered quite a bit of ground, and if you combine that with a dash, you can see how much ground we covered there. That's pretty useful. Next, we're going to move on to Ranger's utility skills, which Ranger, remember, has a total of 8 utility skills, 4 of which are using swords. Now, there is a little bit more, but I don't include them as quote-unquote utility because they are very risky skills to use. So first we're going to take a look at her protection skills. Elven Rage, which is going to be shift right click, is both a forward guard and a super armor. However, it comes at the cost of rooting you in place. So you should only be using this in certain situations, especially now that we can just walk backward and block. It also has a long cooldown of 10 seconds. Then we have Nature's Tremble. Now, Nature's Tremble provides a nice forward guard at the cost of being stationary much, much longer. However, it also puts out quite a huge amount of damage. And you can see the cooldown on that one is 21 seconds. Now we have Ranger's 2 awakened CCs. One is going to be Wailing Wind, which is the one I just showed you. That's going to create a knockback. This also gives you a nice armor shred of -20 range DP. If you remember from bow, this right here was minus 15 range DP. The Awakening version is minus 20, which is really, really nice to know. Then you have Regeneration, which is a much higher level skill. It takes a little bit to get this one, but this one, once you have it, is a down smash and a knockdown, depending on the situation you use it. So, boom, knockdown, or in a case of they're already on the ground, it'll completely just down smash them. Also, this has also a long cooldown, so this is another thing you used to rotate between, because this also used to have a frontal guard. That's no longer the case, so keep that in mind when using it. This is no longer a protected skill. Now we're going to take a look at the ones I don't consider so much utility, but more so risk skills, and this is going to be Flow Tempest. Now, Flow Tempest is going to be a addition to the skill Wailing Wind. So you're going to do Wailing Wind into spacebar, Flow Tempest. You can see the range that just pushed the person back, and it also knocked him to the ground. That'll also happen in PvP. However, it's a very risky skill because, I mean, that's a long animation of no protection, and I mean, protection is like everything nowadays, especially with how much CC lands, so that's good to know. Next we have Flow Disillusion. In the same way, it adds an additional animation to the skill. In this case, it's going to be adding it to the skill Elven Rage, which, if you remember correctly, that's this one, with a 10-second cooldown. Now, in PvP, that no longer knocks people down, only in PvE. So what you do instead is Flow Dissolution, which is the unprotected version of the skill, which basically you're going to do this, and then just hold left click, and it's going to freaking smash them, like just knock them back onto the ground. It's not an actual knockdown, so it won't last as long as a knockdown. However, it is pretty useful just getting them on the ground, because once they're on the ground, you can just go in and down smash them or whatever else you need to do to get the job done. However, again, no protection on that, so as soon as you do that, you remove your protection, and it is a very risky skill to use, but if pulled off correctly, obviously it can turn fights around pretty good. Then we have Vine Knot. Now, Vine Knot is going to be a float. Typically, the skill is used after a failed ranger grab, except on a witch wizard. I mean, obviously, if you do that on a witch wizard, it's not going to knock them up or anything. I mean, they're protected during their cast, so wouldn't recommend doing that, but it is pretty good. You see that's the grab there. That is going to be Spirit Shackles, which is really, really nice. And then you also have the Vine Knot, which is this one. There we go. Now it only knocks them back like that on good hits, which is one of the issues with it. If you don't land both, which is sometimes just hard to do. I don't know why. It's kind of inconsistent for the most part when it doesn't work. You saw there that one failed again. It's like it needs to be like a certain distance from the target in order to apply, so just keep that in mind when using it. This one also used to be a super armor for basically the entire duration of this all the way to here. However, that was also removed, so hopefully we'll one day get that back, because that was really, really good to use against like Sorks and stuff, because you could just basically stand there and then just spring out of it, but can't really do that anymore. Then, of course, we have Ranger's Grabs. Ranger's Grabs Spirit Shackles. Basically, it's just a standard grab. However, keep in mind this grab is pretty inconsistent unless you build for it due to resistances and everything else, so just keep that in mind. It's pretty good against stopping like Witches as long as they don't have too much resistance built up, as well as just a nice counter ability, which I will go over some combos later on the whole grabs and everything, because there's a certain way you can grab and a certain way you can protect yourself that's just so strong, and it turns fights around like that if you do pull it off. Now, something to note about Spirit Shackles as well, this does give you a 20 DP buff, seen here, just for having it applied and missing the grab, so keep that in mind. So if you're just like standing around and you don't think you're going to grab anytime soon, right? Just pop it. I mean, it's just a nice 20 DP when you can just spam that pretty much for the most part every 10 seconds, so it's nice to use, but sometimes you just want to save for a grab. It's not a huge amount of DP, so it's probably not worth using, especially now with how fast you die in this game, but it's definitely useful if you so choose to use it. Now we're going to take a look at Rangers buffs. So before going into a fight, Rangers typically want to use what is known as Cold Blade. Now Cold Blade is going to be down and left click. However, you can see there that that gave us ranged accuracy rate plus 6% just from doing part of the skill. So I don't have it upgraded all the way. However, if you do have it upgraded all the way, this is going to give you 11% more accuracy for 10 seconds. And if you combo this with a basic attack after, boom, you just got AP plus 10. Now that one's pretty useful. You can also get that just from swinging. Third swing. But the way to get it all, you're going to go boom. Now you have both. So really good to know that. Vina is also going to give you a 10% attack speed for 10 seconds. So typically, the way a ranger's buff's going to look is basically they're going to go boom, like that, or they'll just drop down. I usually just shoot that off because it's whatever, and it's not a huge, much longer animation. But if you wanted to just do that, and then just switch back to your bow, you can do that too. Now, Ranger's ultimate buff is known as Guardian. Now, Guardian is going to give you 30% attack speed, 30% movement speed, 15% evasion, 20% critical rate, and a quick 500 mana, so if you choose to use it, right? And all of that, except for the mana, is going to last 30 seconds. As well as you are going to have no stamina when running for 10 seconds. Like, you're not going to use any stamina for 10 seconds when running around, which is really, really nice. However, it's only with a sprint, so keep that in mind as well. This ability just allows Ranger to maximize her DPS as much as she can, as well as it gives her a nice burst of mana when she needs it when grinding, which is just really, really nice. You could also have it useful in PvP. Say you're running out of pots or whatever. She's kind of a pot spam character, so that's good to have as well. Basically, it's going to be Shift Q, and you're going to have these buffs. Now, you can see here, sprint around. Holy cow, you're fast as fuck, right? Look at that. No stamina consumption whatsoever for 10 seconds. As soon as it goes away, now you're using stamina again. Now, you can see the attack speed here, 10%. And then evasion, critical rate, all of it is there. Which is really, really nice. I also have an add-on giving me an additional 4%. That's what you saw there. So that's good to have as well. I'll go over Ranger add-ons in another video, but that's basically the main part of that. And that's pretty much it with Ranger's overall Awakening kit. Now we just gotta go over everything and just putting Ranger together as a whole class, right? Taking her pre-awakening and her awakening and just combining it to make the most use of the class. So when we talk about mobility, we talked about things like the flip, like the Q spam and the movement. Then we also had an awakening form, the dash, this, and this. Now what if I told you you could take all that and essentially combine it all together to get as much mobility as possible while also just keeping yourself protected as much as possible? Crazy, right? So basically, here's how it works. Essentially, you can change from bow to sword real quickly just from simply dashing forward, right? Or, if you go sideways, you're going to use your explosive evasive shot. Okay. So if we were to take, let's say, this long awakened dash combo, right, with the breezy blade and the rushing wind, and then switch to bow form, what do you think would happen? Do you see that mobility? We just went from there to here that quickly. The best part about all of that is we were iframed into 2 super armors into another super armor. So that's basically a ton of protection right there. Unless you are grabbed out of the 2 dashes or that flip, you're basically protected. Now, some things to note is that if you do a dash into a flip, notice how long that took to get back our iframe on the dash. Now let's say we do that again, and we do a iframe into a flip, into a shoot, another flip. Now look, we are exactly timed with another dash. So a lot of times, in my videos or anyone's videos, you'll see Rangers do a dash into a flip, into another flip, into a dash. Because guess what? That's an iframe into 2 super armors, and then into another dash. Now let's say we wanted to use EES into this, because this also works. Now say someone's chasing you and you need to hop on their head, right? Remember the Mario jump? Well, basically, same thing applies here. Now you're gonna dash forward, flip, hop. Look at that. It's almost perfectly timed with your iframe. So once again, you're gonna go dash, flip, dash, right? That one case we had 1 second left, but it was basically almost perfectly timed. Now if we do dash, flip, hop, dash, look at that. So that's basically how you combine those. And then if you want to cover as much distance as possible just to get out of a bad situation, just get the hell out of dodge. You know, just keep hopping, wait till you have your iframe again, slot block, you're protected behind your teammates, that sort of thing. That's basically all you do. Now, everyone's probably been wondering, what is Ranger's main DPS rotation as far as Awakening goes? Because that was mobility. Now let's take main DPS rotation, right? So in order to do this, well, let's do the first one. Actually, we don't need it, but in order to do this, basically you're going to do a knockdown. You're going to dash forward at the target. You're going to use a Breezy Blade into a Rushing Wind, into a Vine Knot, into a backward which that skill I have not gone over yet. That is a, I'm trying to remember the exact name, Waltz of the Wind. This has no protection on it, it's just pure damage. So keep that in mind. And then a Nature's Tremble. If you remember correctly, Nature's Tremble is this one. The overall damage you are going to put out is huge. Keep in mind, before you do the Nature's Tremble as well, to use another Breezy Blade, it's going to maximize your damage output. So basically, it's going to be boom, Breezy Blade, Nature's. Now, this is a PvE mob, so obviously he got knocked back, which is probably part of the issue with that. But that is the combo. I'm going to do it again because it does take a lot of practice to get used to for anyone that hasn't done it. But basically, boom, dash, boom, 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 boom. And then Nature's Tremble again. Now, see, Nature's Tremble is still on cooldown there, so it didn't go off. Now, some other things you can do, and this is something I do want to show you guys, is one of the add-ons you do get, this is just to maximize your damage as well, and how fast you can get things off. Remember that this gives us, Vine Knot gives us 10% for 10 seconds. There's also an add-on that gives you another 10%. So you're getting 20% attack speed from landing a hit on a target with Vine Knot. What that's going to allow you to do is get off this combo much quicker, since all this has a long animation time. So when you speed up the animation time, you are essentially just cutting how long you have to be in someone's face, basically, which is just extremely useful, especially when Ranger is a very, very, very squishy class. So, you're going to take Elven Rage and combine it with Nature's Tremble. Now, that's going to put out an absolute ton more damage. However, think about how long you are there and how risky in doing so is. In a 1v1, it might be worth doing. Anything other than that, maybe not. So that's her main DPS combo, though. It's going to be that one. But if you want to throw in the Elven Rage, it's going to look more like this. That's a ton of damage on a target in a short amount of time. Now, something to also note about that combo is if you can do it quick enough, you can take Vine Knot right into that frickin' Waltz of the Wind without ever landing on the ground, which can sometimes be an issue if you're on bad terrain, but like for the most part, it's just, you can see I was kind of still in the air when I did it, in comparison to doing, say, you know, closer to the ground. Instead, you can just do it really, really fast and just get off the combo. Right? So that's that. Now we have a secondary rotation, and this is going to be the shotgun one, and it's also one that requires a higher level to get the attack, but once you have it, you're going to love it. So basically, it is going to be your Flow Piercing Wind. Now this is going to allow you to use your shotgun out of Breezy Blade, Waltz of the Wind, Backward Movement, and Rushing Wind. Notice how it says specifically backward movement. So basically what you're going to be able to do is do this into shotgun, or do this into shotgun, or do this into shotgun. You can see how effective that's going to be, and how that's really going to maximize your output and or just getting back to bow form quickly after a huge combo, right? We're going into a scenario here where Nature's Tremble is on cooldown, and maybe even Elven Rage is on combo, right? These are both on combo. On cooldown. Not on combo. On cooldown. So basically, you're going to knock them over. You're going to go in and just shotgun them in the face. Or you can backward spin shotgun them in the face after that. So let's do that again. So basically, you're going to go boom. Boom. Tons and tons of damage in that guy's face because you're close with the shotgun and you're going to be putting out a ton of DPS from doing so. And that's pretty much the main two combos of the Awakening into the bow form. That's pretty much it. The other thing, like I showed you in the other video, is going to be that. To keep as much distance as possible. Now, the other things I want to show you guys is the grab combos as well as the Will of the Wind combos. Switching from Awakening and Sword is very, very nice because it actually allows you to block as well. So if you do a walk different directions and you hit C, you can block. This is just changing from form, bow, and sword. You can see here. That's all it is, but now you're just adding movement to it. Block. Block. A well-timed block will oftentimes save your life, so keep that in mind as well. And basically what you're able to do is basically anytime you're out of stamina, out of anything really, out of your resources. So let's say you're spamming shotgun, right? Spamming shotgun, spamming shotgun, spamming shotgun. Well, now all of a sudden you have attacks coming on you or players coming on you. Swap block, right? You can swap right into your swords. Then what does it allow you to do? Oh, now you can dash backwards. Get out of dodge. Right after doing so. And remember, that goes through other players, so now you're just right back with your team, basically. That's extremely useful to know. Then you have something that a lot of people... I can't say a lot of people. A lot of good rangers know this, and they know it well. If a enemy player does not one-combo you after getting you on the ground, you can capitalize on said player immensely. If you remember correctly, we can move into bow form by doing a right click and moving side to side. And then, boom, swap block back into it or just dash forward, whatever you want to do. Now, if I was to tell you that you can essentially do that into a swap block, into a grapple, and completely counterplay an opponent, what would you say? Mind you, you could be on the ground and do this. That's the best part about it. So basically, we're going to go to this target over here. This one's probably a better one to test it on. But basically, you're going to do a hop, and what you're going to do is kind of bring your camera downward when you do it. And you're going to just go around your target. See that? Going in a circle. Now, picture me on the ground right now, because you can also do this off the ground. Picture me on the ground, and do that. Boom. Hop. You're at the other side of the target. Now, the good thing is, you can now kind of shorten your hop by switching into a swap block. See that? Look how close I am to my target now. What does this allow me to do? Grapple. What can I do after grapple? Down smash. What can I do after down smash? Unleash hell on the opponent. That's literally it. So basically I'm on the ground, boom, swap block, grapple, in a void mode. What the Maybe I don't even know what that means. Okay, I'll try that again. Basically you can take it and you go boom, swap block, grapple, then you unleash hell on the opponent, whatever way you want to do it. You want to do the shotgun mode, do the shotgun mode. Usually I do, because usually after you are dying basically on the ground, you're basically almost dead on that ground, right? You want to get out as fast as possible. So usually I would do that. So once again, it's going to be boom, swat block, grapple, spin towards them, regen, natures, right? You could do something like that. Or you could do the other thing I showed you, which is going to be basically, let's get him out of void mode or whatever the hell he had. Boom, grapple, spin towards them, right click in their face, blow damage on them right away. That's probably much faster and also gets you out of a bad situation quicker. However, if you're in a huge group of players, I'm going to tell you right now, the best way to get out of it is going to be a risk-it-all regeneration. So, like, say you're on the ground and you actually think you might be able to get out if you gotta play risky here. So you're gonna hop, swat block, regeneration, knock it around as many opponents around you as you can, and then just book it. Just completely book it out of the zone. That's basically what you're gonna do. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, the other thing that I want to show you guys is that there are your 2 skill enhancements. So you have your tearing shot and you have your fury arrow. These are the ones you should get for sure. Now, tearing shot is going to be a huge AoE daze from range. You can see that dazes that guy right there. Basically, every single opponent you hit with that's going to be dazed as long as they don't block it or immune it or any of that. Due to resistances, again, resistances are a big thing right now in the game, so that's something to keep in mind as well. But basically, you can capitalize off of that, right? Say you daze them, boom, daze. What do you do after that? Knockdown. What do you do after that? Snipe. Big damage, provided you have the AP to do so. Then you have your Fury Arrow. Now, Fury Arrow is going to be by far the best thing to take out your assassin classes, as long as they don't know you're doing it, and as long as you're at range from them. So usually in a group fight, I will pop, and this is something to know as well, you can pop both these skill enhancements from swords. See, boom, from swords. So usually how I'll be fighting nowadays is I'll be walking around in block form essentially, and I'll just pop that into a knockdown, then pop my damage. That's usually what I would do, because you gotta stay protected as much as possible in the current meta. Then you have your tearing shot, which is going to be, or sorry, fury arrow, which is going to be a spammable knockback until you're out of stamina, by the way. Now, some things to note about this. You cannot spam this more than twice on a single target. Once they are knocked back twice, you have reached the CC cap, and you will not be able to apply that CC anymore. So, what you need to know is that once you do this, as soon as you see up top that the target has essentially been knocked back, right? Then pop your knockdown. Usually this will be on a ninja or something. Usually this is how I fight ninjas, especially in group PvP. If they're on my friendlies, I sit there and I go like this until I see they're knocked back, then pop the knockdown, then snipe them, and usually your teammates will clean them up if you don't kill them. That's basically all you do. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much Ranger. That's it. That's everything. That is everything I can teach you guys. I mean, there's not much else. I'm pretty sure I showed in the other video how far this thing can hit. Pretty sure I showed sniper. I'm pretty sure I showed main combos. Trying to think of anything else that could possibly help you guys out, but I think that's it. So enjoy Ranger, guys. I mean, that's pretty much it. Enjoy what she offers. Enjoy what the class can do, because in a lot of ways, she's extremely strong. Next videos going forward, I will be doing a gear guide for you guys that need it. I will also be doing, it's also a very preference gear guide, keep that in mind. And then there's also the add-ons. Add-ons are pretty essential as far as like getting as much damage as possible. For example, like this add-on here is going to give me an extra 4% attack speed. Then you have Vine not giving you 20% attack speed instead of the 10%. Like, that stuff is huge. So until next time, guys, I will see you guys later. Peace.